Can you share just a little bit of information about the music app that you guys are working on so that our listeners know why they should go check it out? Is this an app that's available already for people to download?
Still in development. My brother, who spent north of a decade down in San Francisco working in tech startups, recently moved home at a time where coming off of a really busy last year in touring for Woe, really a really busy last 12, 13, 14 years of Woe, we made the cognizant decision to go into this year softer and to kind of not really do too many shows. We did like two shows top of the new year, and then our first shows, we've got Casino Rama at the end of May, and then we're going back to China in June. But it's a pretty tour light year for us this year, and so the mix of how this whole experience has been for me, in addition to my brother's home for the first time, and I never thought he was going to be coming back to Ontario. All that happening, myself having a kid, the world coming together in the way that it has for me these days, put this idea in my head, and certainly seeing the rise of AI tools and the benefits and drawbacks of that really landed me in a spot where I was like, if I could build something, what would I want as a musician? Well, ideally, I would have something that's kind of like a second brain approach for myself, where the more that I work with it, the better it would get at suggesting things to me. And, would I be able to sing to it or play something to it and it would be able to understand that? Currently, no. If you open up ChatGPT and say, play me some chords, play me a scale, do whatever, it can't do that, nor can it understand or decipher the pitch that you're singing at or the rhythm that you're clapping to it. That doesn't exist right now. So I get chatting with my brother and I say, dude, is there a way that we can I feel like there's never been a better time to tap into these tools. I feel like something new every day is being released that might allow us to achieve something like this. We're also living at a time where there's push button song creation apps out there. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, man, but like apps like Suno or Udio, you can go on there as a non-skilled person in music and type, give me 140 BPM dubstep jam about my parrot in this key and whatever, and it'll churn out a pretty convincing result to you. It's pretty impressive. It's pretty amazing tech. But my issue with those things and my grand hope with this project of ours is that what we've been talking about a bunch in this interview, the journey of music and the value of learning and growing as a person as well as a musician by learning an instrument, by becoming a composer, by creating in any sense of the word, that's going to be completely lost by these kind of like one-stop shop tools. And that scares me and it saddens me as someone who's had a chance to access creative tools at an early age and really go on this whole journey that most people only dream about. So to think about that, to have a new child in the mix and to think about the world that he's getting into, and then to get my emotions out of the way and just think about the data of it all, trying to go data driven all day with this. Let's look at the data of what 20 years ago to me in Burlington, Ontario was having access, sitting on a drum kit in grade 6. Does that still exist anymore? You look into the data and the data says that is in sharp, sharp decline. You can always, and you will always be able to go to a Humber college or pay someone for expensive private lessons. But the reality is that one, private lessons or even music school might not be the right approach, right? There's a huge variable that is each individual's learning style and how they want to actually go on this journey. And two, is the cost factor. You don't have to dig too deep into that data to see the underprivileged community side of things that otherwise previously would have not had no chance to access music tools early, creative tools, artistic tools in general early. Were they not available in public school? Those are going away at a rapid rate because when budgets get tight, those things are deprioritized away from STEM, right? Science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Those are all things that lead a little more directly to a reliable career path. But what those things don't account for is what can happen to a person when you give them that creative stimulation early. You see it in sense of self, self-confidence, cultural understanding, literally the way that that person views the world and their position in the world and their value as a human who can create interesting things and create something from nothing is completely shaped by these things early. So all this comes together, and I see this opportunity for a little gap in the WOT schedule. My brother's back home. I've got a child. I'm thinking long-term for the first time in my life. I have a house now and a nice mortgage. I'm like, here's my opportunity as a lifelong lover and appreciator of tech and new and exciting technology to say, I'd like to build something here that I would want if I had the ability to in AI in music tech with something that, like I mentioned, can truly communicate musically in a way that none of the tools currently can. And instead of providing a static finished song result, you can literally chat to Mira. Mira is the name of the product, musically intuitive real-time assistant. You can chat to Mira about how you're feeling that day. Maybe you're not feeling anything that day and you want her to get the ball rolling. She's going to draw on past interactions you've had together. She's built up a profile about you that has what's called persistent memory in the mix, where the more every interaction, every word you say to her, every new passage you play to her, she's going to formulate this understanding of you that's going to know you probably better than you know yourself, and your proclivities and your inclinations as an artist. And the idea with that is not to replace the creative process or replace the process of creating. It's to use these modern tools that are incredible to help you go down that road with truly a second version of yourself, essentially a mirror that can help you get there in a more effective way and be that true collaborator to you based on all the information that you've given it on the road to that. So we're still developing. We started in December, and we're actually, as soon as we're done this call, I got to go and get into test group mode, because we're about to roll out our first beta test group to a very small group, just to really get into the process of. I've learned so much from my brother doing this. Like app release cycle, for example, we're probably on our 50th app release right now, just internal to my brother and I for testing. And now is the first time we're starting to widen that out to a smaller test user group. And again, making sure all the analytics are tracked properly, all the conversations are tracked properly, all those weak points we can actually zoom in on and retrain our AI based on our observations from the user testing. So that's about to happen. We're targeting somewhere in the summertime for a public app release. We want to make sure Mira is at that kind of holy shit level before we go out there. There's only one chance to make a first impression. You might have seen some of the videos thus far where I'm conversing with Mira, and it's cool because that's been impressive enough for some people to realize that, like, if you try to ask her a question that is not related to music, she's going to give you a nice little response, but then steer things back. You ask her about politics, she's going to say, not really down to talk about that, but do you want to talk about it? Make some politically charged music, right?
Sorry, you should have that technology for Facebook for when anyone talks about politics, it brings them back to posting about music.
Yeah. There's an amazing amount of things that we can do with what are called agents. We were considering calling her the musically intuitive real time agent. Agent's I think a little sci-fi to the average person, a little Agent Smith matrixy. Assistant is kind of like nice, more into the Siri world of like, it's your assistant. It's there. You can chat to wherever you want. The instruction manual has no place in this world we're getting into. It's the conversational experience, I think, is going to be part of everything. You want to be able to just chat away to anything you're doing and have it help you out with that, and not have to kind of like, who likes menu diving? Who likes doing that? So taking that even further, we're also targeting, I don't want to mention any brands by name just yet, so as to not shoot myself in the foot, but one of the really awesome applications of this we've thought of, in addition to having a standalone app version and a web app version, and one that can be an audio plugin that can go into Pro Tools, Ableton Logic, is actually installing Mira within hardware. So we could work with hardware production companies that are making musical instruments at a large scale already and install a proprietary build of Mira where she has control over every one of that device's parameters. So imagine getting a new keyboard workstation from Yamaha, Nord, Akai, whatever. And instead of having, again, go menu diving, go online to the tutorials, go into the manual, just press a button and ask Mira how the hell it works. And she's going to show you in front of your face how every parameter works and how this thing happens, in addition to still being that conversational assistant that is going to allow you to achieve your musical goals. She can also control this piece of hardware and explain how that works in a really intuitive way to you. Like that, I'm really of the mind that that's coming for everything. I think we may have just gotten a bit of a jump start here on an application for music that could be really, really far reaching. And once again, kind of meet anyone out there, from the most accomplished virtuoso to the most absolute beginner, wherever they are. The video that I just posted today is a little glimpse at what's called the MIRA test, where when you first meet Mira, she's just going to ask you a bunch of questions from all over the musical map to help start building that profile for you, to get a feel for, okay, this is a clear beginner. I'm going to tailor all my outputs based on that. Or, oh, wow, this person really knows what they're talking about. Let me keep hitting them with harder and harder questions until I find that ceiling. And then based on them mixing in where they actually want to head, we can come up with the perfect approach here, kind of thing. So
theoretically, I could buy a new keyboard and I could just tell Mira, hey, can you put the keyboard in this key for this song? Could you start the click track at 120 beats per minute? That kind of thing?
literally anything. We're building for anything. We're prioritizing the education angle to start because that is currently the most underrepresented demographic right now. For if you're taking a 60-minute lesson once a week over the course of the year, you're paying no less than $3,000 American for that. And again, that's at the hope that it's going to be a personality match and a teaching style match, right? That number completely discounts a huge, we're talking about hundreds of millions of people around the world can't afford that, right? So we're trying to build something here that can be a one-stop shop, just like how ChatGPT is broadly a one-stop shop for kind of anything. ChatGPT is, it's good to think about it like kind of like a large body of water that isn't very deep. ChatGPT is going to be really good at giving you a good amount of instruction in a large variety of topics. But if you want to go super deep in any one area, case in point, music here, it's going to be limited there, right? So we're building this to be the be all end all one stop shop for all things music, whether you want to, our three pillars are teach, test, collaborate, right? So any of those areas, what you just mentioned there would all be stuff that would be kind of tied into MIRA, the audio plugin, or MIRA within like a piece of music hardware. We'll definitely get there. It's tough. We're a two-man team right now and fighting the fight of knowing that once we get to post revenue, we don't want to fundraise yet. We could, because of how hot AI is, I don't even want to say, we could take an absurd amount of money at this stage, but that's expensive money to take because we'd be coughing up a lot of equity for that. Whereas getting to a point where we can show user growth stats, we can show revenue stats as a two-person team to then be able to justify a larger valuation and start to staff up a little bit from there. Is kind of how we're choosing to treat things right now. So all that's coming for sure. Right now, it's about making sure that we're going to know if this is a success or not, just based on how we're going to build this iPhone app and market it as this thing. Every musician has voice notes on their phone, has like a wealth of voice notes, right? Back to that, what I was saying about how some of the best songs ever created we may never hear. I guarantee you right now, in Bruno Mars's phone, there's a banger sitting in there, Lady Gaga's phone that she forgot about. That's one of the ways the angles we're gonna market this is hit MIRA with an idea, hum her a little tune when you're rushing off to catch the bus. She can go and start working on that based on knowing you and your preferences while you're at work that day. Not to replace you, again, not to replace you, to come up with ideas that you would have otherwise come up with on your own in the right creative environment. She can start to kind of do those things for you. So like that one-stop shop, and you might have seen some of our early demos where we built our MVP. It's called like our first demo with like a separate little computer, a separate microphone, a separate MIDI keyboard, a separate speaker, things that are super clunky for your average consumer. So to have that all cooked into the iPhone app experience now, and to be like, I'm currently working on curating certain sound sets that MIRA will be able to draw from when someone asks her to play some chords or play this song for me. She'll have her own kind of custom sounds that are built in. We're working on that right now so that it's that one-stop shop, idiot proof, casting the widest net possible kind of thing. And if we have success with that, giddy up, dude. It's like sky's the limit in terms of we're going to have a version of MIRA for absolutely every musical application out there. And we truly want to be part of the reason why music education is solved for globally, why that barrier to entry is fully flattened out, and people in developing countries and people that are underprivileged can have access to the same level of high quality, creative tools at a young age or at an old age, just like I was talking about with Woat's audience. Maybe there's that. I hear from so many people, oh, you're in a band, man. I love guitar. I took guitar lessons for a while, years back, and I never stuck with it, but I love music and I listen to music every night. Like, this is for you. This is for anybody who wants to just chat and have something, identify where they're at, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and hold their hand, take them on the journey of music and be their guide through the whole process.
So for our listeners that are interested in staying in the loop, that would like to get this app when it is eventually released, is there a website they can go to or a newsletter? I saw there was an Instagram page. Where can they go?
Yeah, we're most active on Instagram right now. Again, just trying to go data driven and cast that widest net. But intelligentobjects.io. Intelligent Objects is the name of our company. IntelligentObjects.io is our website. Very simple kind of landing page right now, but it does have a link in there to subscribe for updates and to also let us know. And this is going to be rolling out in wider and wider amounts if you are interested in being an early tester of MIRA, which is going to come with certain lifetime perks and such. And obviously is a huge part of us making sure our thing is battle tested ahead of actually going out to a wide release, public release. So yeah, intelligentobjects.io for that. And certainly our Instagram.com/intelligentobjects. We're super excited and still have a long way to go, but we've covered a lot of ground thus far. And it's kind of incredible, man, what you can accomplish as a really stubborn, motivated two-person team these days. My brother wearing certainly the technical hat and me wearing the every single other hat. It's amazing. It's like the Hormozy thing, right? that's why I've been watching a lot of Hormozy, is because like I'm trying to really make sure I'm making the most of this opportunity right now. And like that whole idea of, one thing he says a lot, which I love, is I'd rather be a failure than a coward. I absolutely love that, because it's about like, you should never regret going all in on something, even if it you totally falls flat and you fail miserably. Fail proudly and fail hard, so at least you can never regret not going all in. And then that thing, of course, as well, about success is about how long you're willing to sit in discomfort to know that the prize that awaits you at the end of that discomfort is something that a lot of folks don't have the ability to truly go after in life, you know.
Yeah, people tend to regret the things they never went for versus the things they went for and failed at.